The story of Bacchus and Ariadne is found in Ovid's account of King Minos and the Minotaur, a monster born to his wife, which was part man and part bull, from Book 8 of the Metamorphoses. Quote, "Now the infamous reproach of Crete had grown, till it exposed the double-natured shame. So Minos, moved to cover his disgrace, resolved to hide the monster in a prison, and he built with intricate design, by Daedalus contrived, an architect of wonderful ability and famous. This he planned of mazy wanderings that deceived the eyes, and labyrinthic passages involved. So sports the clear meander in the fields of Phrygia, winding doubtful. Back and forth it meets itself, until the wandering stream, fatigued, impedes its wearied waters' flow, from source to sea, from sea to source involved. So Daedalus contrived innumerous paths and windings vague, so intricate that he, the architect, hardly could retrace his steps. In this the Minotaur was long concealed, and there devoured Athenian victims, sent 3 seasons, 9 years each, till Theseus, son of Aegeus, slew him and retraced his way, finding the path by Ariadne's thread. Without delay the victor fled from Crete, together with the loving maid, and sailed for the isle of Naxos, where he left the maid forlorn, abandoned. Her, in time, lamenting and deserted, Bacchus found, and for his love immortalized her name. He set in the dark heavens the bright crown that rested on her brows. Through the soft air it whirled, while all the sparkling jewels changed to flashing fires, assuming in the sky, between the serpent holder and the kneeler, the well-known shape of Ariadne's crown. These few sentences have furnished artists since the Renaissance with ample material for pictorial invention, the seminal version being Titian's painting of 1523 in the National Gallery in London. The design of my version was based on a composition by Nicolas Poussin of a related subject, Bacchus and Midas, painted circa 1630 and now in the Alte Pinakothek in Munich. I placed the standing figure of Bacchus and the seated figure of Silenus in the same position with minor adjustments to their poses, and I transformed Poussin's reclining Bacchante in the foreground into the figure of Ariadne. My pose for Ariadne was further inspired by a penitent Magdalene by the 19th century academician Jules Lefebvre. Other quotations from William Bouguereau and Carla Murata are also scattered throughout. The billowing clouds and the corona borealis, Ariadne's crown, recall Titian's version. In my allegorical interpretation of the myth, the heroine once again represents the human soul, as she so often does. When is the soul forlorn but when her love is misplaced and the object of her love disappoints? As Petrarch reflects in his imagined dialogues with St. Augustine concerning Petrarch's inordinate attachment to the dearly departed Laura, the soul is tempted to seek its fulfillment in creatures rather than the Creator, in earthly goods instead of the supreme good. Theseus represents the allurements of this world, which leave the soul bereft rather than fulfilled. Bacchus is a figure for Christ, who rescues the soul from her despair by presenting himself as a more worthy lover. Bacchus being an effeminate figure, this Christological image does not look like the ideal man, quite the contrary, which is actually fitting because Christ appears under the unprepossessing form of a creature. Just as Bacchus's masculinity is cloaked in a feminine bearing, Christ's divinity is cloaked by his humanity, and even his humanity appears only as bread and wine in the Eucharist. The wine and grapes of Bacchus are thus a figure for the blood of Christ in the Eucharist. The wine is offered up to restore Ariadne from her spiritual malaise, because the life is in the blood. In my painting, Bacchus finds Ariadne lying on the ground as though dead, but under his gaze she begins to rise. She does not yet look at Bacchus, but out at the viewer, because she does not know what is happening. She is only just beginning to come to, like a soul beginning to discover the truths of the faith and the grace of conversion. Hence I depict her in the form of the penitent Magdalene. By the gift of Bacchus as by the grace of God, Ariadne finds her place among the stars, as the penitent soul finds her place in the communion of saints. The nymphs and satyrs dance and play, as the saints and angels in heaven rejoice over the penitent sinner, recalling the words of Christ, quote, I say to you, that even so there shall be joy in heaven upon one sinner that doth penance, more than upon 99 just who need not penance.